My name is Tom and I love all types of cars, especially turbocharged ones. I also enjoy wrenching and racing, so let's see what we can get into today in the Turbo Garage. In this episode, we're covering the basics of replacing a timing belt. At first glance, a timing belt job can look pretty daunting. It's a task that involves many precise steps and complex moving parts. In addition, if not done properly, serious engine damage can occur. The average, well-equipped shade tree mechanic can likely do this job. As long as you have good instructions, the proper tools, quality parts, and an eye for details, it's a job that is rewarding and can save hundreds of dollars versus paying someone else to do it. Plus, you too can have a timing belt like mine. Oh yeah. Today in the Turbo Garage, we're working on my buddy's 2006 Volkswagen Jetta with the 1.9-liter TDI, or turbocharged direct injection diesel engine. These are great cars to own and deliver consistently excellent fuel economy with lots of low-end torque. If you've considered buying a Prius or similar hybrid sedan, you must drive a TDI Volkswagen first. Whether this is your first or 10th timing belt job, it's always great to recruit a friend to help out. My helper just happens to be one of the most interesting people I've ever met. He's a self-made man who earned an education at a well-known business school, has had a successful career, raised a wonderful family, and is a skilled mechanic and woodworker. He loves riding dirt bikes and restores antique wooden boats as a hobby. I knew very little of wooden boats before I met him, but there is incredible craftsmanship, skill, and patience needed to restore one. The power plants in these things are cool too, as folks back then had to find and adapt engines to use. In fact, you'll find boats powered by engines snagged from tractors, aircraft, trucks, and cars. Not only were folks using all sorts of different engines back then, but they were modifying them to get lots more power. For example, my friend's latest boat uses a tractor engine that has been modified with 3 downdraft Zenith carbs and dual exhaust to bump the horsepower from 90 to 160 horsepower. Gotta love that. Being old enough to remember doing jobs like this before the internet came along, I'm still amazed by the wealth of automotive how-to information provided by generous sources all around the web. I start with the instructions because this is the best way to gauge your comfort level. If you read over them a couple times and it seems too daunting, there's no shame in taking your car to a reputable mechanic to have the job done. Either way, how-tos posted on enthusiast forums are a great way to understand the scope of the job at hand. In this case, the great folks at myturbodiesel.com have fully documented this job with detailed descriptions and photos. This information is extremely valuable, and the humble donation button on their website is worth a click if you use these to help with your TDI timing belt job in any way. While instructions like these are very thorough, I like to use them as a complement to the factory service manual. These manuals are typically available in CD-ROM or PDF form, but sometimes you can get your hands on a good old-fashioned book like I have here with my DSM manual. Inside these manuals, you'll find the most accurate illustrations, steps, and torque figures available. There is simply no substitute to a factory service manual, and while the cost of one may seem high, if you plan on doing your own maintenance and keeping your car running in top condition for years to come, they pay for themselves. There are also detailed instructions found in Haynes or Chilton's manuals. While these are sufficient and provide good photos in most cases, I find the clear illustrations and straightforward way the info is presented in a factory service manual to be far superior. But that's me. Once you've decided that you'll be replacing your timing belt, it's now time to get all of the parts you'll need. In my opinion, nothing is better than OEM. They are simply built to a higher standard, and for a job this important that you may only do once every 60 to 100,000 miles, it's well worth it. OEM parts are typically available at the dealership parts counter or a trusted parts reseller. I always use a reputable dealer who offers internet discounts. This can save you big money. Just verify that you're getting the proper OEM parts. For our job, we needed a timing belt, a new accessory drive belt, a timing belt tensioner, an idler pulley, a new water pump, and new one-time use bolts. Keep in mind your parts list will vary depending on your specific vehicle. Also, be sure to have the necessary fluids on hand too. For our job, we also included an oil change, so the proper oil was picked up, as well as factory spec coolant and distilled water to mix with it. While a good, quality assortment of tools like sockets, ratchets, pliers, and a torque wrench is required, there are typically specialty tools needed for your job as well. In the case of our Volkswagen TDI, there were a few, like a crank lock, tensioner locks, and the big sprocket counter holding tool. These specialty tools aren't cheap, but are absolutely necessary to do the job right. With the Volkswagen up in the air, we pulled off the passenger side wheel. This is done to give access to the timing belt area. Then the plastic under tray is pulled off, along with the fender liner. In this case, it gave us a chance to clean out all sorts of crud that had gathered in there over the last 100,000 miles. With all of those items out of the way, we can now get a good look at the crank pulley. From here we go back up top and begin disassembly, starting with the turbocharger piping. Next, we lock the accessory belt tensioner with the provided tool and remove it from the engine. Since it's necessary to change the water pump while doing this job on our Volkswagen, we drain the coolant into a clean pan. Then we remove the coolant overflow tank and set it aside. The next task was to unbolt the crank pulley.
Perfect. 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 Perfect.
Next, we remove the timing belt covers. With the covers out of the way, we now have a good look at the timing belt assembly. At this point, it's time to line up all of the necessary timing marks and then lock both the crank sprocket and then the cam sprocket in place using our special tools. This keeps the engine in perfect time while you work. Otherwise, the cam and crank timing would get out of sync with one another, which spells disaster in an interference engine. Next, after supporting the engine properly, we remove the passenger side engine mount and set it in our ever-growing parts pile. With that out of the way, we can now loosen the cam sprocket bolts and then release tension from the timing belt tensioner. This allows us to remove the timing belt. Now that the timing belt is out of the way, we can remove the old water pump. After cleaning off the old water pump mating surface, we grab the new one, install it, and then torque it down to proper spec. After bolting in the new idler pulley and tensioner, we can now install the new timing belt. Then use our cam sprocket counter holding tool to keep everything lined up while we set the timing belt tensioner properly, and then tighten it to the proper torque figure. Next, we turn over the motor by hand a few times to make sure that the assembly operates smoothly and that the belt is aligned and installed properly. Once that checks out, reinstallation continues as we install the timing belt covers, crank pulley, motor mount, serpentine belt, and tensioner, coolant reservoir, and everything that we ripped off and threw into our parts pile earlier. Next, we add the necessary amount of coolant, reinstall the plastic shields, bolt the passenger wheel back on, and fire it up. Success! So if you've got some other automotive DIY jobs under your belt and feel comfortable with a job this size, go and get your hands on some good instructions, good tools, good parts, and make it happen. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, tell me about it in the comments and visit my Facebook page too. I'd appreciate it.